We've all heard about the awakening of consciousness. Perhaps you feel you are in that place right now. That strange and beautiful state where we begin to gain a new understanding of life. When the veil of illusions falls away and the truth about how reality works becomes undeniable. But here is the truth few people dare to say. Awakening is not only light. It is not only bliss, clarity, and peace. It is also darkness. It is also disillusionment, pain, and shadow. Today we will explore the forgotten side of awakening, the side that is rarely mentioned in books or spiritual talks, the side that is uncomfortable but absolutely essential. Because to awaken is not simply to rise above life, it is to walk fully into it. Not just the light, but the shadows too. Chapter 1, The Myth of Awakening. There is a powerful myth surrounding awakening. It is the belief that awakening is like a magic spell, that once you are enlightened, your suffering disappears, that pain no longer touches you, that life becomes an endless ocean of peace. This belief is tempting. It sells books. It promises relief. It feeds our longing to escape. But it is also the first great trap. The truth is different. Awakening does not erase your problems. It does not eliminate fear, anxiety, or doubt. Instead, it reveals them with greater clarity. It shows you every crack in your armor, every shadow in your heart. Real spirituality has no shortcuts. It does not protect us from the human condition. It shines a light directly on it. Chapter 2, The First Disillusionment. For many seekers, the first taste of awakening comes as a shock. Instead of being lifted into bliss, they feel overwhelmed. Suddenly, the mind, which once clung to absolute truths and comforting beliefs, begins to dissolve. The ground beneath them feels unstable. This is the first disillusionment. It is painful, yes, but it is also necessary. Disillusionment is a kind of cleansing. It strips away the stories we told ourselves, the false promises of eternal peace, and forces us to stand face to face with reality as it truly is. Chapter 3, Meeting the Ego. One of the first and most powerful confrontations is with the ego. The ego is not evil. It is the structure of identity, the I we build throughout life. But it does not like to be challenged. It does not like to lose control. When awakening comes, the ego panics. It clings to ideas such as, I am special. I am evolving. I am above the illusions. But awakening does not nourish the ego. It dismantles it. It reveals the ego in all its fragility. True awakening does not crown us with superiority. It humbles us before the vastness of existence. It reminds us that we are not separate, special beings, but only small waves in the infinite ocean of life. This surrender is terrifying for the ego. To the ego, awakening feels like death. And so it resists through fear, doubt, anger, and pride. Chogyam Trungpa called this spiritual materialism. When the ego disguises itself in holy robes, turning enlightenment into a performance. But no mask can last. Awakening is not a title to be achieved. It is a constant surrender to what is. Chapter 4, The Shadow Revealed. And then comes the shadow. Carl Jung described the shadow as everything we repress, the memories we bury, the traits we deny, the emotions we judge as shameful, envy, anger, jealousy, resentment, fear, insecurity. We spend enormous amounts of energy keeping these parts hidden, but they do not disappear. They influence our choices, our relationships, our view of the world, often without us even knowing. Awakening brings the shadow into the light. It forces us to see what we have avoided. And here lies a great paradox. The shadow is not only darkness, it holds within it incredible power. By repressing it, we lose access to vital energy, our life force, our chi. Shadow work, therefore, is not a side practice. It is the very path. By facing our hidden parts, we stop being controlled by them. We begin to transform them. Anger becomes a lesson in boundaries. Fear becomes a teacher of courage. Insecurity becomes a doorway to humility. This is the alchemy of awakening. Chapter 5, The Dark Night of the Soul. For some, the confrontation with shadow and ego leads into what mystics call the dark night of the soul. This concept comes from St. John of the Cross. It describes a time when everything feels lost, when the light disappears, when God, spirit, or meaning itself seems absent. It is an abyss of despair. a silence that feels unbearable. And yet, it is not a mistake. It is a stage of transformation. Just as a caterpillar must enter the cocoon, dark, confined, alone, so too must we pass through this inner night before rebirth. The dark night strips away illusions. It burns false beliefs to ash. And in doing so, it prepares us for a more authentic connection to the sacred. Carl Jung said, "What you resist persists. What you accept transforms." The dark night teaches us acceptance, to sit with pain without fleeing, to let the storm pass through us, to discover at last that the light was never gone. It was simply hidden, waiting within. Chapter 6, The Trap of Superiority. As seekers move deeper, a subtle danger emerges: pride. The ego reappears in disguise, whispering, "I am more awakened than others. I see what they cannot. I am higher on the path." This is spiritual superiority. It is poison. Osho warned of this trap, reminding us that enlightenment is not a competition. Brené Brown explained that pride often hides vulnerability, an armor protecting us from insecurity. But awakening is not about separating ourselves from others. It is about dissolving separation altogether. When spirituality becomes about comparison, we lose empathy. We lose connection. We lose the very heart of awakening itself. Chapter 7, The Path of Service and Compassion. True awakening is not about how high we rise. It is about how deeply we connect. Humility means shifting the focus from ourselves to others. It means recognizing that everyone carries struggles, everyone carries shadows, and that our task is not to judge, but to serve. Service does not mean martyrdom. It means using our awakening not as a crown, but as a bridge. Every act of compassion, every moment of genuine presence, every time we lift another. This is awakening embodied. Chapter 8, Integration of Light and Shadow. Awakening is not a final destination. It is an endless journey. Each step reveals more light and more shadow. The task is not to destroy one and worship the other. It is to integrate them, to hold both without denial, because wholeness is not found in perfection. It is found in inclusion. To be awake is not to live without fear or anger, but to see them clearly, to transform them, to use them as teachers. This is the work of a lifetime, and it is the true meaning of spiritual maturity. So what in the end is spiritual awakening? It is not an escape from suffering. It is not superiority. It is not a prize to be won. It is the courage to face life exactly as it is. It is the willingness to meet both light and shadow, both joy and pain, and to embrace them as part of the whole. Awakening is not about becoming something greater. It is about becoming fully human, and in that humanity, discovering the divine. I hope this journey through the light and the shadow has offered you something meaningful. If this message resonates with you, I invite you to reflect on your own path. What shadows are waiting to be embraced? What illusions are asking to be released? Remember, the darkness is not your enemy. It is your teacher. It is the doorway to deeper love, to greater strength, and to true awakening. Thank you for watching.